Last month, I spent several days in New York City teaching my ballet photography workshop. The workshop is called Dancer as Motif, and it explores the human form through movement, gesture, and abstraction. It's one of my favorite workshops to teach, and this year we had an exceptional group of students. I teach the class alongside my friend and longtime collaborator, Alexandra Light. She's a choreographer that I've worked with extensively over the years. Together, we guide 3 dancers through a series of exercises exploring geometry, line, motion, and eventually leading to visual abstraction. We begin simply. Working with still poses allows the students to explore line, shape, and compositional tension. How does dance move beyond the conventional portrait? What changes when a second dancer enters the frame? What happens with a third? As relationships between forms begin to develop, the photograph becomes less about documenting a person and more about gesture, rhythm, and visual dialogue. I especially love working with double exposure techniques because they allow photography to move away from documented reality and towards something more interpretive and abstract. We explore the idea of gesture and direction. We strive to communicate elegance through a specific visual vocabulary as it relates to dance and the human form. Eventually, motion is introduced as the final element. We begin looking at the balance between the static and the dynamic, the contrast between what feels familiar and what becomes abstract. I teach this workshop in a loft in Manhattan using only natural light because the minute strobes enter the equation, it becomes a lighting workshop. And that's not the point. I want the students responding to what already exists in the room. But as you probably already know, natural light is never static. Clouds move, reflections shift, skin tones change subtly throughout the day, and when you're photographing movement, these small variations begin to compound across thousands of frames. After a weekend like this, you come home with a ton of images. I have my students shooting about 1,000 images a day, and that's not continuous shooting, that is single shooting only. We're looking for moments as they exist. We're not trying to spray and pray, but it's still a lot of images when you return. The difficult part isn't necessarily making the edits themselves, it's maintaining consistency across an entire body of work while working through subtle variations in light, motion, and timing from image to image. This is the stage where editing can become less about interpretation and more about repetition. Lately, I've been experimenting with Imagine as part of that workflow, particularly when working inside Lightroom Classic on larger sets of images like this. What interests me is not the idea of automating creativity, but rather reducing some of the repetitive technical adjustments that naturally occur across a sequence of photographs. So to give you an idea about how I work in Lightroom Classic is I like to organize all my images according to project. Lightroom calls these collections, and they're essentially folders that you'll see over on the left-hand side of the screen. I do it this way because it's a really easy way to stay organized. And the cool thing is Imagine is going to basically work hand in hand with you using this same organizational method. It's just going to come in and automate parts of the process. So Imagine is actually designed to assist you with 2 specific things that you would want to perform on a group of images. The first one is culling. So in other words, I've got a group of images. I'm trying to figure out what the best ones are in there. What are going to be my final selects? This is particularly handy if you shoot events and you get a bunch of images of the same thing and you're trying to figure out what the best one in there is. So that would be culling. The other thing it assists with is what we call editing. And editing is fairly obvious, but the cool thing here is that Imagine uses what we call profiles. So the profile is essentially set up so you can tell Imagine what the look you want to have to your images is. There are a bunch of preset profiles that are already in here that you can browse through. You can even create your own if you have a specific image style that you want to use. This requires uploading and training the AI system with a lot of images. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do this here. The one that I like to use is called the Modern Classic. It's fairly middle of the road. It's not going to give me anything that's going to look like film or anything, but if that is your thing, there are a ton of profiles in here that you can choose from. Now, in this demo, I'm going to be doing culling and editing as all part of the same process. It is worth noting that Imagine's editing tools do work independently, so you can jump straight into editing if culling isn't something that you need. At this point, it's really easy. I just point it at my Lightroom catalog, I tell it which collection of images I want it to perform the actions on, and then I get some options. You can choose the genre that you want to work within. If you're kind of like me, this really doesn't fit into any of these. They're not really portraits, they're not really events, and so I'm just going to say other on this. And on the next screen, I'm going to be presented with some options here of one, how do I want it to cull the images? I'm going to go with the default, which is going to be using color labels. I think this is really cool because what it's going to do is it's going to give you color labels. So for instance, all the green will be the keepers, the yellow will be duplicates, blue will be standalone, and then red will be low rated. Of course, you could also say I want to go with star ratings or I want to use flags, but I like color labels because this is really straightforward and really easy to use. And again, this is going to be non-destructive. So once I get my edits back, if I find one in the red category, for instance, that I really think is a keeper that it didn't catch, it's easy to change. And so it's basically going to save you a lot of time and going to get you closer to the goal. You can also customize your grouping criteria as well as your export format. And if you have a ton of images in your collection that you're sending this, you can actually cull to a specific number. So for instance, let's say I have 5,000 images that I shot at an event. I really know that I only want 200 in the end. You could actually go in and give it a specific number, and that works with large groups of images. So I'm going to go ahead and say upload. It's going to give me a time estimate on how long this is going to take, and this is going to be dependent on a number of factors. So for instance, your internet connection, whether you're using JPEG or RAW files. I'm using RAW files. One thing I have discovered in my experience with this is it generally is done in way less time than it's estimating, which is very good, but your mileage could vary here. But either way, you can get up and leave your computer at this point and just let it do its thing. It will send you an email when everything is ready to go, and so I can just come back at that point. When culling is completed, I can come back and I can preview everything right inside the Imagine interface. What's cool is it uses the same hotkeys and the same filtering that you would use in Lightroom, so it's super easy to use, very intuitive. Or you can actually sync this up with Lightroom. And so if I hit the red sync button at the top here, go over to Lightroom, it will populate with all of my color categories here. And this is really a nice way of doing it because I can go look at what Imagine did. It's already saved me the time of that preliminary pass, and I can go in and look at what the non-keepers were. And if there was an image that it missed, it's really easy to go in and change its color grading. Then I can come back to Imagine, resync with my Lightroom catalog, and then upload for editing. What's nice about this is it saves a ton of time in the end because you're only going to be editing the images that you actually selected. One thing that I found particularly interesting while working with these images is that ballet photography doesn't really follow a standard convention in terms of what makes a good picture. Sometimes a gesture mid-transition is exactly what I want. Sometimes softness or a little bit of motion is part of the image itself. And because of that, I still need complete control over the final image, especially during culling and sequencing. But what I like that Imagine has done here is everything is non-destructive, so nothing's permanent. I simply can go through my categories, and if there's an image that I felt was really good that didn't make the final cut, it's really easy to change the color. So I really like that. What Imagine has done is it saved me a ton of time in just getting to that point. What I found useful here wasn't the idea of replacing that judgment, but reducing some of the repetitive technical work surrounding it. The process remains completely non-destructive, which means I can always go back, I can reevaluate selections, and I can refine the work further. For photographers who routinely work with large volumes of images like this, so I'm talking about wedding photographers, sports photographers, documentary, events, I can absolutely see the value in something like Imagine coming along and giving you a starting point that reduces a lot of those repetitive adjustments while still allowing the final interpretation to remain personal. And interestingly, this same idea comes across in editing as well. The challenge isn't making dynamic creative changes to an image, it's the repetition involved in maintaining consistency across hundreds of photographs captured under constantly shifting conditions. Skin tones will drift slightly, reflections change, your white balance changes during the day during a shoot with natural light. And it's not that these little micro adjustments are difficult to make, it's just that they're very time consuming. What I appreciate here is that it does a pretty good job and the process remains completely non-destructive. The edits become a starting point rather than a final decision, and I can go back and forth, refine images individually, change selections, reinterpret the sequence however I want in the end. So my final thoughts on Imagine are, first of all, editing is still part of the process. Consistency will allow your work to feel intentional. The goal here is not to simply edit faster, but it's to be able to spend more time and put more creative energy into the images that matter most. So if you were interested in checking out Imagine for yourself, they have a free trial, and I will put a link in the description below this video, where basically you can get 1,500 free edits, and you can play with this a little bit and see if it's going to work for your own workflow and fit the needs that you have as a photographer. And of course, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I will catch you guys in the next video. Until then, later.